What is up, guys? My name is Juno186 and today we're going to do my first ever guide video for For Honor. Now, I have seen a lot of players asking for this and most of them are absolutely dog shit at the game, so I wanted to help them out and just teach you guys how to play the game mode Breach, which is the tutorial we're going to do now. So let's begin. But first, before we begin, bear in mind this is my first ever guide video, so if you guys have any tips for me, please let me know down in the comments. And if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure you like, and if it was helpful, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and let's get into it. Okay, so what is Breach? Breach is classified as the longest game mode in For Honor and can be easily played competitively if you have 4 people. However, in the gameplay that you are seeing, we are playing with 3 people and a random, but we can still do pretty much everything that we need, even with 3 people if you guys know exactly what you're doing. In the gameplay in the background also, we do not have any mics on. They do, but I do not, because we all know what to do in competitive Breach, and there's no need for communication unless you really want to. In Breach there are 2 teams, the attackers and defenders. I'll be telling you each objective for each team and what you're supposed to do when you're playing Breach for whatever team you're playing. As attackers, your main objective is to kill the commander, but in order to reach the commander you're gonna have to breach 2 gates, the first one and the second one. However, your ram's health will determine how many tickets you have till you kill the commander. For example, if you have basically no health on your ram, you will get at least 6 tickets if you make it to the commander. So, ram's health will determine how many tickets you get till you get to the commander. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. As attackers, you can clear the ram and boost it. You can capture ramparts, and I will later on tell you why this is really useful. You can gather boosts. You can spawn trap the defender's minions, which will grant you your feet very quickly if you stay there. You can go to healing zone, and finally you can camp cauldron because you don't want the defenders to use it. As defenders, your main objective is to defend the commander. However, to reach the commander, the attackers need to breach through 2 gates. Your objective is to defend the gates as much as you can. How can you do that? By defending the rampart and by stopping the ram from boosting. In other words, you're just giving time to your teammates for them to use the cauldron as much as you can. They need to use the cauldron as much as they can. Otherwise, the attackers will have a lot of lives to kill your commander with. As defenders, you can do the exact same thing, just a little bit different as attackers. Instead of boosting the ram, you're going to prevent it from getting boosted. Instead of attacking the rampart, you're going to defend it. And instead of camping cauldron, you're going to use it as soon as the ram is under it. And what I did not mention in the attackers area, you can also get a shield for either objective. For example, attackers will get a shield for the ram if they get the banner, or the defenders can get the shield for their gate. I'll explain this later on more in detail. The first map we'll start with is Hallowed Bastion. Now, Hallowed Bastion is one of my favorite maps for Breach, and it's definitely my favorite Viking map for Breach, because this is a fair map, and I absolutely adore fighting in this map. It's really good. I like it, and I love playing as attackers on this map. The next map we have is Kazan Castle. Now, I would like this, but it is extremely unbalanced for the defenders. So, in other words, the attackers have the advantage over the defenders. Why? is because on this map it's one of the few maps that you can actually ledge the commander on. You can seriously ledge the commander. If you have warlords on your team, you can ledge them at the end, and at the beginning the rampart is right in front of the attacker's spawn, which is really unfair for the defenders. I don't like it. The next map is Walled City, and this is by far my favorite breach map of all of them. I love fighting on this map. Either side, it's fair, and this was the first breach map, and I really enjoy fighting on this one. Definitely my favorite amongst all of them. Next we got Store Stronghold. Now this map is very different, especially at the end, because in order to access the healing zone at the end, you need to open the area to go to the healing zone. I will talk about this map specifically later on, because this map's very interesting. And finally we have Quang Pass. Now Quang Pass is a good map, balanced, and I didn't even notice this, and I noticed this quite recently, but there's a gigantic Jiang Jun a statue, outside the map. You should see it, and it's really good. I like this map. Each one of these maps has a ballista at the beginning phase, except Kazan Castle, which is another reason why I'd say it's unfair, because it does not even have a ballista at the beginning, which makes it unfair for both attackers and defenders, but especially defenders, because there's no other way to defend the rampart, because the attackers can easily push way before the defenders. At the beginning of the match, this is what the banner should look like: transparent, and when it's transparent, that means you cannot get it until it respawns. Now the banner respawns at 27 minutes exactly. I will show you some gameplay right now. So in order to grab the banner, you need to hold circle, and as you can see, there is a slow debuff on me, which means I will go slower, essentially making the banner a pain in the ass to get. Now as you can see, if you don't know, the game actually hints you that there's a banner spawning in when it has a shield around your authoring, I guess. I don't know what that is, but that's a hint, meaning that you can get the shield banner, and as you can see, the gate is shielded now. The banner can also benefit the attackers exactly the way as the defenders. However, instead of shielding the gate, you shield your ram. And what the shield basically does for the attackers is that you can get another cauldron hit, essentially protecting your ram's life. Now, in my opinion, the shield is more useful for the defenders than the attackers. The reason why is because the ram can survive quite a bit of hits because it has so much health, and the gate does not have that much health, so it can be easily shut down. At the first stage, there will also be a second banner. This is very rare to happen because usually the attackers breach faster than the banner spawns in. So if the attackers take a long time to breach the first gate, another banner will spawn in. It honestly depends on how long your match is. There is also a banner in the second stage of this game. In other words, if the attackers do breach through the first gate, you get introduced to the second stage, as I call it, and in the second stage the shield banner can spawn in as well. It will spawn in roughly at the same time as the Guardian, or maybe the exact same time as the Guardian spawns in. I'll be talking about the Guardian in the second stage after I'm done with the shield banner. Now, in the second stage, the shield banner is very important, especially for the attackers, because at that moment the ram probably lost quite a bunch of health unless you're defending it quite well, and it's mainly important for the attackers other than the defenders. At the beginning, the banner is more important for the defenders, and later on the banner is more important for the attackers. It honestly depends on the situation, really. There will definitely be times where the defenders need the banner way more than the attackers because they're boosting the ram or something. It honestly depends on your game. Now, ramparts are the most important aspect of breach. These soldiers at the rampart can be used in many different ways, and I'll explain you the best ways to use them and why the ramparts are important for either team. As you can see, the rampart contains 3 pikemen and an officer for each team. So the defenders also get 3 pikemen and an officer, and the archers. Now, you can utilize these guys very, very easily. Now, if you imagine you getting ganked at the ram and your teammates are nowhere to be found, what you can do is capture one, and what you could do is, instead of getting ganked at ram, you can go to rampart and help your soldiers, or let your soldiers help you in a gank. Because believe it or not, the officers and the pikemen do make a difference. People complain about the officer and the damage. The reason why is because officers need to be able to clear out pikemen. Now, as you saw right there, the arrow, there's 2 arrows, and that means it's gonna the rampart's capturing faster. Right now it's capturing faster, and as soon as I got out of the rampart, it went slower, which basically means it's the exact same thing as the ram. If you have archers or pikemen, while you're capturing the rampart, you will capture it faster, or if you're capturing it by yourself, it will capture slower, or if the soldiers are capturing by themselves, it will capture slower. Now, the ramparts can be very useful in many different ways, especially 1 and 2, because they can shoot down the pikemen that are coming into the ram, essentially making the attackers not even need to go to the ram. So as soon as the attackers have both rampart 1 and 2, I don't think, most of the times, attackers don't need to push ram as soon as they have 1 and 2, because all the archers are going to be shooting down at the defenders' pikeman, and that could be the same for the defenders. They can shoot down to the attackers' pikeman at the ram, and either team wins from that. Now, Rampart 3 is also very important, especially for the later stages. Reason why is because Rampart 3 can protect the cauldron, which means it will prevent the defenders from using it. They can still use it, but it will delay the time, which gives the attackers more time to actually boost the ram and get in. Because the rampart is defending the cauldron right now. And I'm talking about the attacker's perspective. It's pretty good strategy, and now I'm going to showcase to you what the Rampart 1 and 2 do for either team. So at the moment we are attacking, and this is what Rampart 2 and 1 do. They shoot down at the pikeman, do a little bit amount of health, but remember there's 6 archers in these ramparts, and they can easily shut down the pikeman at the ram before they even reach the ram. As you can see, all these pikemen are going down. Second stage ramparts consist of 4 ramparts. Number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7. Number 4 being the least useful for the attackers. Now, the reason why number 4 is not that useful for the attackers is because it will only be used for the beginning of the second stage. Later on, the gate will be at the ram, will be at the second gate, and number 4 won't be used because there's no defenders pikeman at the first gate. So why would number 4 be used? It's not. Number 5 and number 6 act the exact same way as 1 and 2 at the beginning of the game. They just shoot down the pikeman at the ram, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty useful overall. Again, try your best to capture 5 and 6 if you are the attackers, and if you are the defenders, always defend the rampart as much as possible, because the attackers do want to push it as hard as they can. And number 7 is more useful than number 3. Even though they did the exact same job. The reason why number 7 is useful for both teams really is because it acts like a kind of like a headquarters. For example, and this will also happen at the beginning of the stage, if the attackers have number 3 or 7 and the shield spawns in, the defenders need to kill the soldiers at the rampart plus the hero at the rampart to put down the shield, because it's not going to be safe for the defenders to put down the shield if they have 7 or 3. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a pretty simple mechanic. You guys will understand it as soon as you play it, because you guys just simply need to know the map layout, which I am currently explaining and how it works, and hopefully it's helping you guys out so far. So number 7, really good for the attackers. And another reason why it's good is because the RAM at this point should be low. At the moment it's not, because this is custom match and I set it to where it starts from the second gate. And but at this point your RAM should be at least just below, and not just below, just above half health. And this is why the shield is important, as I said, for the attackers. Now that the attackers have breached the second gate, they have finally reached the commander. Now there's another rampart to capture, which is rampart number 8. That rampart is the most important rampart of all. And the reason I say this is because if the attackers capture it, it's basically a win. The reason I say to win is because if the archers shoot down at the defender's pikeman, that will attract the commander to go out of his cave, as I call it. Essentially, letting your teammates go to the ballista and shoot down at the commander. It's a really useful strategy. Not a lot of people know this, but it's a pretty good strategy in my opinion. Always capture rampart, and if you're defending, then defend the rampart as hard as you can. Do not let them capture it, otherwise your commander will be vulnerable for ballista fire, and that is the last thing you want to do. Now, the Guardian is a mini-boss that spawns in the second stage. As soon as the banner spawns in, the Guardian spawns in, and the other way around too. If the Guardian spawns in, then the banner spawns in. Now, what does the Guardian do? At the beginning, as soon as you kill him, you get revenge, as you see in the background, and will grant you a full shield, and will grant you the ability to one-shot the minions, aka the pikeman, at anywhere, rampart, and it will also grant you a shield, and also grant you some blue eyes, which is where the blue eyes effect came from. It came from the Guardian. And the shields do not stack up in this game mode, so don't get even more shield than this. It's just not possible. And as soon as you get the Guardian buff, you're pretty much unstoppable. You also get the ability of having unlimited stamina, which is pretty good. And this buff will stay for 3 minutes, something like that. It's not going to stay for long, so use as much as you can. And the Guardian, as soon as you kill the Guardian, even for assist, you get at least over 100 points. Having the Guardian buff can also help your team by having unlimited stamina. Unlimited stamina is really freaking good. I will tell you why now. Is because if you're ganking an enemy and your teammate is ganking him, what the other guy can do is literally feint an attack, like I did before. You guys saw in the gameplay, I kept feinting and heavy to trick the enemy, and I would never run out of stamina. In other words, this is really fucking useful. The Guardian shouldn't really be used that much though, unless you basically got all the other objectives done. It's just imagine as the Guardian is a side quest in Breach, really. If you can just get it if you want, it's not really useful. It's very situational though. If your team is losing, go for it. There's no point. As you can see in the background, my RAM is really low, and we just went for the rampart for the points and for the buff. And as soon as you die, the buff will go. So yeah, it's a win-lose situation for the Guardian. Just get it when you actually feel like you should get it. If your team is lacking ramparts, for example, if you're attacking and you have no ramparts, capture the ramparts first, and then go for the Guardian. Don't go for the Guardian then capture ramparts. Although I did that because my teammates wanted me to go there, but it's not really that useful. Unless you have all the ramparts, because now, as you can see, the RAM is low because of the ramparts. So yeah, so as I said, Guardian is just a side quest. Now, before we start, this segment is going to take at least 3 minutes to get over, so if you just want to skip, go for it. Okay, so let's start with Warden. Warden's only good for defenders because he has the healing banner. Peacekeeper, don't use her at all in Breach. Absolutely dog shit of a character in Breach. Don't use her. Centurion, I don't know if he has the healing banner, but if he does, he's good for the defenders. Blackprior should be used in Breach for both attackers and defenders because he is granting shield and he can also heal himself, so you don't even need to go to the healing area of the map to actually heal because he has a healing feat. Griffin should definitely be used. Unfortunately, I must say that I don't like the character, but he should definitely be used. He's a really good support character for Breach. Conquer should not be used, however I use him because I'm trying to get him rep 70. He's only good to anti-gank. You can use him. It honestly, it depends if you are good at anti-gank. If you're good at anti-ganking, then definitely use him. Lawbringer, nah, use him for attackers because he has a bunch of bombs, but nothing else really. Gladiator, definitely use him for attacking. He has the Napoleon type of attack. Warmonger should definitely be used. Probably the best character for Breach because of corruption, especially for attackers. If you get the feat for Warmonger as attackers, you definitely won. Especially if you have a team of Warmongers. Then we come Raider. Raider's pretty decent at anti-ganking, so you should use him for either team. Berserker, I think he's really good at attacking, mainly because of the Fire Flask. Valkyrie, I don't really see her being used. However, I don't see that much use for her. Warlord is pretty good at anti-ganking, so you should definitely use him. He has a Fire Flask, so he should be used for both teams. Kensei should be used for attacking and defending because of his minion clear type of idea. Shigoki should definitely be used too. I use him a lot. He's a rep 70, and mainly because I play Breach. He's good at anti-ganking. So if you're playing Shigoki, definitely go Rampart. Orochi should maybe be used. It depends on the way you use him, really. He's not really useful if you're just not good with him. If you are good with him and you have some perks, you can literally spawn trap the fuck out of the enemies. It's hilarious. I do this with Orochi. Barely anyone can kill me because of his executions respite or some bullshit. His new feat grants him more health, and I have the perk where he grants health every time he kills an enemy. So either way, he's pretty good at spawn trapping because I could keep regenerating health at the enemy spawn. Then Nabushi, I don't really use her, so I don't really know Nabushi. Probably the only character I don't actually know if you should use. However, you should probably use her in defenders. I'm guessing so because she has the healing banner. Shinobi, don't use it. I use it because I'm just playing around, really. But don't use them. It's not good. It's really not good. I mean, if you're ganking someone and you're going to guard break, it's the exact same thing as the minion. Just don't use them overall. Then Aramusha. Aramusha should be used. The reason why is because he has the healing banner, from what I'm aware. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hitakiri should be used as attacker because he can one-shot. Tiandi should definitely be used for anti-ganky. Nuxia for the culture up, so Ram. Sanhu definitely attacking as the fire. JJ, 100% you will see so many. And Shaolin, don't use them. If you are a warmonger and you are attacking, the only thing you should do is spawn trap minions until you get your 4 feet. What I mean by spawn trapping is the example I already showed you in the map layout area. Just spawn trap the shit out of the minions. Pretty self-explanatory. And then you can simply get your 4 feet and use it whenever you want, really. At the beginning you will see normally everyone going Rampart. And that is correct. Please follow them. Use the Rampart. Use it to your advantage for either team. Not only will grant you some kills if you're good at anti-ganking, but will also grant your team some archers. Either way, so please go Rampart. Rampart is important. If the attackers know that if you guys know that you cannot capture it, just leave it. But as long as at least one of you keeps pushing it and putting pressure on the defenders, you should be able to win. Coordination is very important, and experience is also very important. The more you play around in Breach, you get used to the mechanics, you'll become professional. I've been playing Breach for over 3 months and I know exactly what I'm doing, and now I play with a team. It's not a really settled team, and we just play casually, sometimes competitively. If we really get pissed off and we really want to play competitive, we play competitive, but just be coordinated, know where your team is, because that will grant you a win almost every time. And make sure, for the love of God, make sure you use your map. Believe it or not, the map is so useful in Breach. So useful.